The military has been doing further projects besides just this. DARPA has the Avatar program, and that's some brain transfer technology that they have. And one of the people that's involved with this research is Dmitry Itskov, and he's head of what's called the 2045 initiative. And that group is working, and they say that by 2045 they will have the ability to download consciousness into a computer. Now, what I'm going to suggest to you is because over the many years that I've been researching the Illuminati, I keep coming across the proof that they're probably 30 years at least ahead of us in the technology that we know, and maybe even more. So I'm going to suggest, if he's saying that we can do this in 45 years, I'm going to suggest that they're already able to do it. So he's working hard to make the body to be an accessory. What do I mean by that? It means your mind can be downloaded somewhere. They give you a new body. They download that consciousness in there. And then when that body wears out, they download your consciousness to the new body. The neurosurgeon who wrote that bestseller that's out there now, Proofs of Heaven, who had the near-death experience, when I read it, he mentioned the book, Irreducible Mind, which that book that came out in 2007 shows scientific evidence that the consciousness can be indeed separated from the body. So this isn't something theoretical, but they've proven that the consciousness can be separated from the body. And I'm going to give you some highlights that I had time-wise on cloning, because most of us haven't really been following it closely. In 1952, they announced that they had cloned a frog. Right? In 1970, Lord Rothschild, he recommended that the United Nations have an agency to license and control human cloning. And in 1977 was the first public announcement of someone being cloned, someone who was very wealthy, but they kept the name of this person secret. And then in 81, they announced mice had been cloned. And then in 97, they again announced that humans had been cloned. And then in 2002, they said 100 people had been cloned. Technically, to clone a person is no more complicated than it is to clone a cow or a pig. There's a few little differences in the steps, the procedures, but as far as complications, it's just as easy. And I'm going to suggest to you that the Illuminati not only have the motive to clone and to transfer consciousness, but they have the means. And if they have the motive and means, what's that mean? It means that they're doing it.
Our scientists have learned how to make people. They call them synthetics. Because synthetics, when you touch their skin, it feels like plastic almost. That's the latest technique. The old techniques, if you guys can rent a video, the boys from Brazil, it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really? I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking ones.
Meaning through genetics? You're not talking about that?
Well, let me tell you. The movie shows it, but I'll share it with you right now.
All right.
All I need to do is take 2 cells off of your body. We give them a small electrical charge. I'm just don't want to act like a fertilized egg. If I got a fertilized egg, all I need is a receiver in order to make it. So they were hypnotizing women, said they were being invaded by aliens. And the fetus starts growing, right? Needs food. Well, they can use cows and sheep, too. Again, a food source, that's all we need. After about 14 weeks, all of a sudden that fetus is gone. Because they've learned to take, that's when the fetus starts developing its own blood supply. Then they've used a pituitary hormone extract that they have, which accelerates the being that grows. Now, the reason was, the so-called elite are selecting on who they want to have around.
But is it a clone or not?
Oh, now you know going about cloning. Cloning techniques, since 1938, they've been making clone people. There's 8 countries making clones.
Okay, so...
No, let's go to the next step, because this is the most important part.
All right.
If your physical reality that you have, based on this physical life that you have, this dream, is made up of the experiences that is impregnated on your body and in your mind, consciously, right? Mm-hmm. Your soul memory is another thing. Since the body is very physical, and we just got you making a physical being in a few months for spare parts. If you go to the hospital today and get an encephalogram, what's that? That's the memory of your conscious mind. That's downloaded on this being. Now we got a walking, talking duplicate that has the total memory that you have, because we just took it off of your own mind. And more and more of that's coming on the line. I just told you, go rent the movie.
Okay, Boys from Brazil.
Yeah, and you'll see the whole technique on what they show it to you in different places, so you can imagine what is going on.
Cloning. What if I were to tell you that I could take a scraping of skin from your finger and create another Ezra Lieberman?
I would tell you not to waste your time or my finger.
Anyway, that is cloning. It was first done with plants. A cutting taken from a plant and transplanted grew to be the exact duplicate of the donor plant. Now we are doing the same thing with laboratory animals.
You mean you can produce an animal from itself?
We take the unfertilized egg of an ovulating female and destroy all of its genes and chromosomes. We then implant the nucleus of the donor cell, which could be taken from a blood sample or even a skin scraping. That cell, with its genetic material intact, eventually becomes an embryo and is born as a living creature.
Oh, doctor, how can that be?
Come along. Here we are removing the eggs of a white rabbit from the fallopian tubes. Now, you see the egg under a microscope. I've brought the point of an ordinary sewing needle into view to give an idea of size.
They are that small?
Most mammal eggs are about that size.
Including human eggs?
Yes. The next step is to destroy the egg nucleus with ultraviolet light so that none of its genetic makeup remains. Now you see an egg from a white rabbit ready to be injected with the blood cell from a black rabbit donor. With the injection pipette, one of the blood cells is sucked up and then injected into the egg. After a few hours, the eggs in culture divide and are ready to be put back into the female. There they grow into embryos, which in a month's time, the normal gestation period, they will become baby rabbits. In this instance, a black litter from a white mother and their black color proves that they have been cloned from the blood cell of a black rabbit.
But isn't it difficult to get the egg back into the female?
Transferring the eggs isn't the problem. We do that all the time with laboratory animals. The really tricky part is the microsurgery. Getting the donor cell into the egg. You're lucky if 1 in 10 survives.
And this can be done with humans?
If the surgical technique were precise enough.
The one who is cloned, the donor, he has to be alive, doesn't he?
Not necessarily. Individual cells taken from a donor can be preserved indefinitely. With a sample of Mozart's blood and a woman, someone with the skill and the equipment could breed a few hundred baby Mozarts.